Usher has revealed shocking secrets connecting Diddy, Holmes, and Justin Bieber. This revelation, like a Netflix exposé, uncovers hidden truths, power moves, and behind-the-scenes dealings that no one expected.
I don't know, maybe in another 10 years we can talk about it and I really understand what I was doing. I'm just living in it. I'm literally, kind of being as open as I possibly can to new ideas and how things are done versus how things were done. And I'm trying not to be a person who's so conditioned to my past that I'm not considerate of how things have to be done and are inevitably being done. Mystique is something that is good and bad. Because what I do struggle with now is the fact that I don't feel comfortable doing these kinds of interviews and talking because I don't really know the nature of where it's going to go. But I with you, so I was like, I'm going to come sit down with you and we're going to have a real conversation. And I'm also, too, going to hopefully, be comfortable enough to be able to be vulnerable and talk about life. And, there's what you see and then there's who I am. And there's, some judgment that comes with that on the other side, but I don't really get concerned about that. I really am living my life, and I'm trying to be a great artist, but greater than that, a good person and a human, right? I'm gonna go through flaws, go through ups and downs. My entire career has, kind of shown you that. Whether I was talking about it in music or just living through things, I've had some really, really tough times, and I've not had anybody to talk to about it. I've not had the opportunity to be able to kind of open up. That's why I really was so excited about this articles, because it gave me the opportunity to be able to kind of peel the veil back and allow you to look at where I was.
Tonight, we pull back the curtain on an industry where mentorship and betrayal go hand in hand. Even Bieber's mother, Patty Millett, may have sensed the danger from the very beginning. How did a once-celebrated mentor-mentee bond turn into a story of exploitation, control, and abuse? And what role did Usher, once a guardian of rising talent, play in exposing these hidden truths? Stay with us as we reveal shocking details, piece together a timeline of infamous encounters, and ask the tough questions about power, responsibility, and the true cost of fame.
Reportedly considered dropping Usher from his label, but when Usher begged him to stay on, Reed sent him to live with Sean Combs in New York for a year to train. And at the time, Combs, who was then known as Puff Daddy, we believe was in his 20s, there were these apparent training sessions, and these training sessions were known as Puffy Flavor Camp. Now, through the years, Usher has spoken about this time in his life with Combs. For example, in 2004, Usher told Rolling Stone that Combs introduced him to essentially sex. He said, quote, "Sex is so hot in the industry, man. There was always girls around. You'd open a door and see somebody doing it or several people in a room having an orgy. You never knew what was going to happen." On the Howard Stern show in 2016, Usher talked about his time with Combs too, saying there was definitely a lot of wild partying, but he doesn't think he was really able to understand what all was going on. And when Howard Stern asked him, would you send your own kids to something like Puffy Flavor Camp, this is what he had to say.
What a life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
Usher also spoke with People magazine back in February, saying some of the most valuable lessons I could ever learn as an entrepreneur were picked up when I spent that time in New York with him. This unwavering desire to create and make certain that your creative ideas are executed.
Now, Justin, like I just said, is in the headlines a bit. There's some people who are saying he's really having a tough time these days. He's having maybe even a breakdown. They see it, they see some different behavior from him. What do you say?
It's crazy the timing of all this, because we've had these shows booked, for a couple of weeks for me to come on here and talk about Crescendo.
Yeah.
And, we couldn't have predicted all this stuff that just happened in the media. So, I really don't know what to say.
Are you worried about him at all?
I think moms always worry about their children.
Any extra worry now that he's 19 and people are, he's kind of out of the nest a little bit? Any extra worry?
Letting go, it's difficult. So I think that there's always an element of extra worry from parents that when they have to sort of let go a little bit.
I mean, because the thing I always wonder about is like, when you're 19, does your mom supposed to still dictate your friends? Like, do you worry about who he hangs with? Do you like sort of say to him like, I don't want you hanging with this person or that person? You don't have to tell me who. I don't need to know who. I'm not going to pry too much, but unless you really want to tell me. But
yeah, no, I mean, I try. Of course, I have talks with him. Of course, I have conversations with him about all that kind of stuff. But as his mom, the rules have changed now that
you're a little more hands off.
19. Well, I wouldn't say that. I think it's just different.
Once a titan of the music industry, Diddy built an empire that promised fame and success, but hid a dark undercurrent of abuse. For years, allegations have swirled, ranging from rape and sex trafficking to forced prostitution. Now, new revelations demand a fresh look at his notorious past. Insiders recall a time when a young Justin Bieber, just 15, spent 48 wild hours at Diddy's mansion. What was once seen as a rite of passage is now overshadowed by accusations of exploitation and predatory behavior, an experience no teenager should ever have to endure.
Quickly approaching Combs' May 5th trial date, believe it or not. Unbelievable. I didn't think that was going to happen. And remember, this is a trial where he will face charges of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, transportation to engage in prostitution. That's an important charge we'll talk about in a minute. But in anticipation of that hearing Friday, here are some things that you should know, maybe what we can expect. We don't know for sure, but this is possible what is going to be addressed on Friday. Now, first up, we believe that Sean Combs is going to be officially arraigned on the second superseding indictment at this conference. Now, most likely he will be advised of his rights, the charges, most likely will enter a plea, and what is the most significant difference in this new indictment that was filed against him last week on March 6th is really one paragraph. I'm actually going to read you right now part of the government's letter to the court that was filed in conjunction with this superseding indictment, and it reads as follows. The S2 indictment contains no new charged offenses, but includes additional allegations related to the racketeering conspiracy charged in count 1. Specifically, the S2 indictment contains additional allegations as to the means and methods of the racketeering enterprise related to forced labor.
In the book, Porter allegedly recounts discovering and making copies of the sex tapes that Diddy made of himself having sex with young boys that he was managing, including an alleged tape involving an 18-year-old pop star who went on to become a household name. Porter alleges that when she discovered those videotapes of Sean and his sexual encounters in the bedroom in this vault, she made copies of them as protection for herself. Realized that this is a very dangerous situation. I'm going to make copies for protection for myself, and included it as a part of her plan to leave him. But the memoir says that when she watched back the tapes, she was so shocked because there were things, quote, some of the tapes had things I would have never expected. The gay parties are one thing, but the young boys, like the two hip hop stars formerly managed by Diddy and the then 18-year-old pop star, I would have never known. The book publisher is claiming that it was the friends that gave him this thumbnail, the friends that provided this memoir. The friends also provided copies of these alleged sex tapes so that he knew that it was legitimate. And the final entry of the memoir from Kim Porter, before she mysteriously got pneumonia and didn't survive it as a 47-year-old, is her dramatically telling her friends, quote, "He got me," and then calling 911.
In the labyrinth of power and influence, Usher emerged as both a mentor and a witness, having briefly navigated Diddy's world himself. His early exposure to that environment gave him a unique perspective, allowing him to see how the music industry's glitzy surface often concealed disturbing abuses behind closed doors. Former associate Freddie P has been particularly outspoken, claiming that Bieber's experience was far from the nurturing mentorship he was promised. Instead, according to Freddie, the young star was thrown into a world where inappropriate behavior was normalized, leaving him vulnerable to manipulation and control.
So I heard it last night, and it was something about, he said he was standing at a table. They say the shirt that he wore to the VMA say something about God is great. But in the video, they got pictures of him standing in the background while a woman is being sexually pleased, but she under the influence. And they say it's white substance on her nose. You can clearly see that. And they saying in another video, they have him and an A-list, a young male, having sex. And it was an alleged allegations that it was being a tape was being shopped around with him and a young male. I'm not accusing nobody, but if you look at the way Justin Bieber look at Puffy, he hates that nigga. He hates that nigga. That man's face ain't just dropped soon as he wanted to go get a wife. That man's whole fucking face, that's some medical. That man young and healthy, man. But he know, he terrified. You remember when I said a lot of people happy you locked up right now, Puff? He's one of them. That's why I'm speaking. He's one of them. One of the people that you terrified who couldn't get from under your claws. That's why Puffy trying to help me get back out here. He know. These bitches want to see me fall. They want to see this. They been waiting on this. He know how many people been waiting on this. His kids know. They feeling it. Nobody calling. Nobody trying to. You know what I'm saying? And with all the people that was trying to be my friends.
So infatuated with a child that wasn't yours. Were you grooming that little boy? I don't even want to start those conversations because that's not your child. You know what I'm saying? And for you to keep him that close, it's like you kept him that close because he might got your secrets because he's not your child. So if he's not your child and you that type of person with that type of character, you don't mind actually doing it to him when he finally reaches a certain age because he's not yours. And you know in your mind he's not yours. And now you keep him real close to you. You make sure he don't go to his daddy. Why? You make sure he's separated with him and you provide him with everything he wants. Why? You got one of them little Michael Jackson secrets? He got one of them secrets that he can't tell nobody because his legacy, I mean, his manhood gonna be, and not only that, his brother no gonna look at him crazy. Only Puffy know, only God and Puffy.
About Puffy, right?
I don't know. All I'm gonna say is, I don't know.
I'll be sure, son.
All I'm gonna say is, who's infatuated with another man's son like that? Like you, that seemed like grooming to me. I got, oh, that's his daughter's brothers. Get the fuck out of here, huh? Plenty daughters got brothers. We go show one.
Now, one person didn't know what the saddest thing in the world is what they did to Justin Bieber.
What was that?
That's sad.
What'd they do to him? Because there's a lot of speculation out there, but nobody. I mean, I've heard things, but what did they really do to him?
They had sex with him
when he was a kid.
I hate to say that. I hate to say that because I really like Justin Bieber. I feel bad for Justin Bieber, and this wouldn't have happened if Justin Bieber came from a wealthy family. Justin Bieber pretty much came from a poor family, but the young man was so talented, and he could have been bigger than Michael Jackson. But the depression of the drugs and the stuff he allowed these grown men to do to this little boy is unhealthy and it's fucked up. No grown men supposed to be getting high and doing drugs and drinking with a kid.
Hey, Suge, you know, Justin Bieber has been getting this out in different ways. You know, you could see it in his music and just what he's been trying to say without saying it. So, I mean, I think everybody knows what you just stated to be true.
I mean, you had grown men would take Justin Bieber. A grown man take Justin Bieber when he was young to a vacation, a romantic vacation, showing pictures on the Instagram with no women, nobody else but a grown, successful man and this little kid. Usher spent the night and Prima Puppy be in the same bed. They do an album and they never did one song they put out at that time. On top of that, when I met Usher, I came on one time, I'm speaking to the guy because he got good songs. That's out of respect. Like a young black man. This dude rolled his eyes at me. And so then somebody came over and kind of said, Suge, you know, don't have one of your guys do nothing to him. He a good young man, but him and Puffy got a thing. He had a thing. He said, he gave me a look like, you know. And I thought about it. The way he rolled his eyes at me, it wasn't like somebody homie rolled it. It was like I beat up somebody's man. Like I beat his, you know, he the bitch. Like somebody to roll their eyes, like you beat my boyfriend up. I ain't speaking to you.
Really?
It was one of those, right? Yeah, for sure. And the crazy thing about it is like Leslie, his mother, and everybody else said the same thing. Well, it was wrong, but if we go and get Puffy in trouble behind that, Usher wouldn't be Usher. He'd be known as the guy who got molested by Puffy, and they didn't want that.